Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will now have to answer questions in court about hiring her alleged boyfriend as the special prosecutor in the Trump election fraud case. The judge in the case has scheduled a hearing over allegations of an alleged affair with Nathan Wade, who she hired to help lead the case against the former president. And defense attorneys say that ought to disqualify him and her. So far, rather than simply denying or explaining it, she has played the race card.
They only attacked one. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer. A superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, and a great lawyer. Oh Lord, they're gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one?
The one that's being questioned is the only one she was allegedly having an affair with. And that explanation certainly won't be enough. Now, if the judge in the case, Scott McAfee, has set a hearing for February 15th on the motion to disqualify Willis and Wade, which was filed by attorneys for Michael Roman, a former Trump state campaign official indicted on 7 felony counts for trying to overturn the 2020 election. The motion accuses Willis and Wade of being engaged in an improper, clandestine personal relationship during the pendency of the case, which has resulted in the special prosecutor and in turn the district attorney profiting significantly from this prosecution at the expense of taxpayers. They claim that since being appointed, the special prosecutor has been paid an estimated $1 million in legal fees, and they say the two used that money to purchase tickets for both of them to travel on Norwegian and Royal Caribbean cruise lines. And get this, today, the same day the hearing date was set, Fani Willis filed a personal motion to quash a subpoena she was served in the divorce proceedings of that same prosecutor, Nathan Wade. In her motion, Willis says Wade's wife, Jocelyn Wade, is using the legal process to harass and embarrass District Attorney Willis, and in doing so is obstructing and interfering with the ongoing criminal prosecution. So now she's facing a hearing on misconduct, and she's filed a motion attacking the wife of the man she's accused of having an affair with in his divorce. Look, I don't think she'll be disqualified from the case. I certainly don't expect it will lead to the charges being dismissed. But she isn't helping herself by trying to deflect this by claiming it's about race. Joining me now is Darryl Cohen. He served as an assistant district attorney in Fulton County. He knows Fani Willis and is now a criminal defense lawyer who briefly worked on this case. Thanks very much for coming back on the program. Appreciate it. So what does it mean, do you think, that the judge has set a date for a hearing on this?
It means that he wants to bring everything out into the open. He wants the court to know what is going on, why these are allegations, and is there any truth or a lot of truth to the allegations. Now, I, like you, don't believe that she's going to be forced off the case. I also would take copious amounts of money bets that this indictment will not be quashed. But this is bad. It's really in the court of public opinion. In my view, it's not race. And Fani, by the way, is a friend of mine. I just don't know what she's thinking. This was not a good move. The optics are terrible. My dad was an eye doctor, and if he saw this type of thing, he would send them with very thick glasses. Send them off. Get them out of here.
Let me ask, so let's assume the court determines that they were having or are having an affair or relationship. What does the judge do at that point, particularly if they're in an ongoing relationship? Does he say, look, if there's that kind of relationship going on, at the least he can't keep working on the case? I don't know. What is the remedy?
I don't think that makes any difference. To me, it's very Shakespeare. Much ado about nothing. If they're having an affair, if they're dating each other, admit it, go on, move on. The American public is very forgiving. Just admit that you made a mistake in judgment and move on. Nathan's a good guy. I don't think he has the qualifications to be anything other than a head coach in this instance. And it's nothing to do with race, nothing to do with anything other than the facts of what Fani did or did not do and what Nathan is doing or not doing.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.